This is TWiT.
Apple is really stepping up the action on original content, and I have to think this can't be all for Apple Music.
It's like a deal every couple days now.
Yeah. The latest deal I'm excited about. They got Stephen Knight and Francis Lawrence, who are the production team behind The Hunger Games. I'm sorry, Stephen Knight is the writer of Peaky Blinders, which is one of my favorite Netflix shows.
I haven't seen it yet because Carlita doesn't want to watch it, and so I'm just going.
Well, it's a little violent. It takes place in a black and white. It seems like grim northern England town in the peak of the industrial era, or late 19th century. It's awesome. Industrial era. It's awesome. Yeah, the peak. I mean, it's grim. They're smelting steel in the streets. It's like that. It's really great.
I got a 10-hour flight tomorrow.
And the reason they call them Peaky Blinders, and this is not a spoiler, is they put razor blades in the brims of their hats to blind their opponents from the peak of their hats when they get in fights. There's lots of fights. But it's a great show, really well written. Stephen Knight, the guy who created that, and the guy who created directed The Hunger Games. And this is from Chernin Entertainment Endeavor Content. It's going to be called See, S-E-E. The deadline calls it an epic world-building drama set in the future. My kind of show.
Yeah, I love it.
Sounds like Apple's doing a lot of sci-fi. They know their audience.
They are definitely. It looks like they're really going after this kind of high-end. They're not doing any experimentation. I mean, they did a little bit.
No, this is class. And by the way, this could cost them more than the $1 billion they've allotted. Not that they don't have the money. They've also got a morning show drama starring Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon. They're going to bring back Amazing Stories as Steven Spielberg. And we talked about the Ronald D. Moore space opera.
Yeah. And they're going through this kind of, I think Apple's doing this kind of blue chip. I was talking to a filmmaker, and I feel bad for some of the online folks because there's definitely this echelon that filmmakers are starting to break down of features. Unless a lot of filmmakers that I'm talking to now are basically like, unless you're doing an effects film or something really with big cameras, you don't even bother trying to get to the theater. People are still trying to do that. They're still doing some of it, but that's like not going to happen. And so everyone's focused on, like, if you're doing some kind of, you might be able to do action, but really if you're doing like romantic comedies or drama or whatever, they really look at all these, and it's interesting to watch people start to break that down. Like Apple is like the top of that world. Like if you can get them to buy it, you're going to get all the money, you're going to get all the stuff. Then Netflix is below that, then HBO, and then Showtime, and then Amazon, and then and a lot of people are talking about, like, well, get big on YouTube or get big on Facebook on one of their things, and then we'll turn that in, go to one of the other ones, and so it's just an interesting mix of stuff where there's still a lot of people trying to push forward, but it looks like Apple's really jumped very much to the top of the online distribution list.
Money and clients will do.
Well, and I think if you think about people like Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon, they probably love the idea of making something for Apple. It's a brand that I think people
they probably approached them. I mean, I think Aniston has her own production company. So
that's right. And this is also attractive. They retain ownership.
Right.
So Apple has.
So how does this go to market? Does this go under the Apple Music banner? Is it going to be another Apple TV brand? Is it going to be a separate subscription service?
This is not Apple Music. This is something else.
These buys are for Apple TV. I mean, I bet you it'll be only on Apple products.
Is it a subscription product?
Will it be in the TV app? Will it need a subscription?
I don't know if they need to. I mean, they could definitely create some kind of subscription that would support it. But literally, if Apple just produced let's say, spent $100 million a week on a feature film, and it only came out on Apple products, people would buy Apple TVs because that's where I think Apple could basically do it. I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to. They want to have value.
And you know what? I'd pay for this. This is going to be they've hit. So this morning show, for instance,
$10 a month is an easy thing. Everyone's used to it.
They optioned Brian Stelter, who's the media critic for CNN and the Times.
Brian's great. We've had him on.
He's
shows.
Really good. He's super smart. They optioned a book he wrote about the morning shows called Top of the Morning. So he's going to be a consultant. The showrunner is Jay Carson from House of Cards. Right. This is a premium product.
Yeah, blue chip.
Blue chip, that's the word I'm looking for. And I don't think you give that away partly because all of these people don't want to be the freebie at the bottom of the Apple TV page. That's not what you don't. No. They want to. They want a flagship position for this.
Well, when you look at it,
go ahead.
I just think that what happens is that they get an exclusive. Apple has a producer position on it. They retain some ownership of the product. They have an exclusivity window. It doesn't, and then at some point it can go either if it can't go onto another streaming service, it at least goes onto some sort of a digital to own market. I can't imagine them making sense of this deal by saying that this is just going to be something that you have to own an Apple product and only in order to see it and build audiences. I think that the way that you do it is that you do make it an exclusive for the first year, let's say the first season, and then hopefully you wind up with a Game of Thrones. Then you release season 1 to Google Play, Amazon Video.
I think it's a good thing.
Okay, all of that aftermarket's good for money, but that's not what Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston joined the game for.
I think it's easier for Apple to convert Apple Music to Apple Media than it is.
They need a subscription
service. I just think they just flip it. I don't think they want to have 2 subscription services, one for music and one for. I think what they want is they want to make. They just want to flip it to something that's everything, and I think that maybe we see that this year or next.
I think what you can give Reese Witherspoon that she's gonna really respond to is you get complete control over as a producer. You hire whoever you want. The story goes in whatever direction you want. We don't care so long as it'll compress down to an MP4 file at some point.
Well, but Andy, that deal in Hollywood, you're only as good as your last thing. If nobody sees your last thing, it's really important to these people. I guarantee you. I mean, Reese Witherspoon's coming off Big Little Lies. And by the way, HBO's already signed a 2nd season of that. They are looking for, of course, it's money, it's control. All these are very important, but they're also looking to be the jewel in the crown.
Event programming. Yeah.
Because you've got to be something that's going to, everybody's going to go, I got to buy Apple Media.
The money and the control is everywhere right now. If you're a creator,
HBO gives you that. Netflix gives you that. Everybody gives you that.
Angelina Jolie made a movie about the genocide in the Khmer language. And Netflix was like, okay,
full control.
Write a check.
No money in it. There's full control though.
Well, it's also it might win an Oscar because it's
prestige.
Prestige.
So I mean, Apple's clearly putting down the money, and they're saying something that is getting these. I mean, every one of these is top flight. They're saying something, and I wonder what they're whispering into their ear.
Well, and I
think you're right, Renee. It's something like, come June, we are going to be announcing the most important streaming TV network ever.
Or maybe the fall.
Fall is better.
But I think that
and you launch with 4 or 5 really big shows.
And they have to hit it, especially after Revenge of the Show. They have to hit it.
It flopped.
They have to hit it hard. I think they kind of experimented on that one, and that was not a good experiment. So they brought in regular Hollywood folks, regular showrunners, regular, all that stuff.
And they said, write the check.
Let's just write, do the thing we need.
What is it you need to get this done?
And I think that what they're trying to avoid is being the next Amazon or YouTube or Facebook, who have spread it out
too much
over a lot of stuff.
They've done too much.
And Bezos has already said, we want the next Game of Thrones. Like, he wants to spend, he's ready to spend real money on it.
Aren't you better off spending $8 billion on 5 shows?
Yep, absolutely.
Because if they're the right 5, and look at the demographics, they've got the sci-fi. They actually have 2 dystopian. They have 1 dystopian, maybe 1 upbeat sci-fi, right? Mm-hmm. They've got the morning show. That's going to appeal to a broad demographic. Steven Spielberg's amazing stories. They are spreading it.
They're doing well. I mean, Netflix is still crushing it. I mean, they are, if you look at the breadth and depth that Netflix does.
Too much depth, I would argue. Too much depth.
Too much depth?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Or maybe too much breadth. Which one?
I don't know. I see so
they have
much
too many
stuff.
shows is what I'm saying.
But because they are taking this group of people, everybody's got to find something. For Netflix, it's like a CD store that you have to walk in, and even if you very rarely go over to the Z section, that CD still has to be there. Netflix they're trying to serve an entire audience and replace basically all of the content that they're buying right now. I mean, I just love the fact that I can watch that someone made The Punisher and then made whatever, a Chef's Table.
Yes.
I mean, both of them are just masterful in 2 different ways.
I agree. I think that's spreading it around too much. I think,
but it keeps me watching. Like,
it's fine for Netflix because your goal in Netflix is every 4 weeks
maintain and increase
to have something that will either get new people to subscribe and then the new subscribers to stick around. You just have to do that every 4 weeks. That's not Apple's need at all.
No, it isn't.
Apple wants to be a headline. They want to win the awards. They want to be at Emmy Awards. They want to be at the Golden Globes.
And they want to add value to people who own Apple products.
But, yeah.
There's something that changed because the first Netflix stuff was okay. I mean, there's a couple good things and a couple bad things. I now, when I go on Netflix, I am looking for the Netflix logo on the things. Like, I want to see what they did because I think it's going to be better than the crap that they buy now.
Well,
a lot of times
that's because they're solving a business problem.
But it's confusing, too, because some of it is just international shows they bought and branded as Netflix originals.
That's right.
Right.
I think it's very confusing. I mean, they're not going to lose me as a subscriber. That's all they care about. But I think it's very confusing. But this is a business necessity. They're not getting movies. That's basically, they know they're not going to get any more movies.
Well, they still get them now.
I know, but they're not.
I just don't know how much success they're going to have in getting people to say that, go ahead. With Netflix and Hulu and the rest of these services, all they have to do is say, give us no money for the first 30 days and then give us maybe $8 a month after that. I don't know how they're going to tell people, give us $100 for an Apple TV box, which doesn't do as much as the box you have now or what's already in your TV. And then maybe after you'll like this show, and if you don't, well, there's still Revenge of the Apps. There's.
Well, I think that if you just switch Apple Music to Apple Media, what happens is that's all the phones, all the iPads, all the computers, everything can watch the media that you're creating. The Apple TV is just one.
And you can always AirPlay it to your regular.
I think.
Oh no, you can't.
Oh,
you
that sucks. That's a horrible experience. I don't think people really like that. That's why I think that if Apple's going to make a go of this, they're going to do it again as a production company, where they'll keep the first. There's never any assurance that this $1 billion series they're buying into is going to be a success. What they're hoping to is that it's going to be a success, and then after the first season, when the first season becomes available for purchase elsewhere, that's the thing that gets people hooked. Say, oh my God, I gotta see the season 2 of this. Damn it, it's only on Apple TV. Okay, guess what?
I'd be blown away if they ever make it available to any other platform.
Yeah, I think that's small.
Well, iTunes, you'll be able to buy it on iTunes. I'm guessing it's.
I sometimes think of myself trying to answer that question that someone's asking me, and I absolutely can't. I can't imagine a show that's so good that it would define the hardware that this person buys. I can't picture it.
I don't think one show does that, but I think that if there's one show, but again, does that person have an iPhone? I mean, like they can still watch it on their iPhone, they don't watch it on their iPad.
I don't even think that's really how Apple thinks about it. I think they think about it as, is the ecosystem, are we going to make a premier ecosystem, including hardware, software, and content, and that the people who are in this ecosystem will be getting the best possible experience.
They want differentiated experiences is what their North Star is.
Yeah. I think that this does that.
Of course, the antitrust question is does Apple buy Disney and then what happens?
Yeah. I actually don't want them to. I think that would be such a big...
Right now is a great time for that.
I know. they're going to get the money, but I feel like that would be too big an apple to bite.
Oh, I think
there's worms in there.